Right, so
I'm really good at this filming.
this is what you do when you have a hobby.
0.9 miles.
It's... I got a call at 3:10 this morning. Yeah, well, I know what time it is now, but I got a call at 3:10 this morning. I'm on my way, Al. Get your ass out of bed. We're off to fix this milling machine. It's Sunday morning. We've got... well, it's not... I suppose for the Americans it'd be a trip to the shop. It's only 100 and something mile, but for us with a big old Harvey Williams trailer on these back roads for a while, it's going to be a bit of a trek. So we're going all the way to Birmingham to have a look at this milling machine, and if it's any good, we shall buy it, and then...
Prepared to turn left after half a mile.
Yeah, we will. Just give us a second, darling. And then we'll come back and see how we get on. So, I haven't got my video camera, I've only got my phone, so me and Robin will take a few videos when we get there on the phone, I should say, and then, as you can see, it's a bit bouncy. The delights of North Lincolnshire on a Sunday morning in the end of, well, beginning of February now, ain't it? Alright, driver?
I'm alright, driver.
Right, we'll be back in a bit. So here we are in sunny Birmingham, 1.5 tons heavier than when we come through here. So, a couple of hours, or 2.5 hours back home, and we'll see how we get on. Then the mammoth task is going to be to try and get a 2.24 metre machine in a 2.26 metre high shed, Rob. That's going to be fun, isn't it? So,
dig a hole in the floor.
Dig a hole in the floor, yeah, that'd have to be a good one. Anyway, onwards and upwards. So, so we got the new mill home. There's my little black doggy. We got the new mill home, didn't we, Finn? What do you reckon? Well, the easiest part was fetching it home. See that hole in the floor there? When we was wheeling it in on the pallet truck, that's where the wheel of the pallet truck went through the floor. Now you can see, can't you, the quality of the concrete in this shed. It's utter shite. Anyway, we got the milling machine in, and if you can see down there, that is a new 5 foot by 4 foot roughly concrete pad, 4 inches deep, 4 inches thick should I say. And there's the machine. Looking a bit sorry for myself at the minute. So that's where the vary head should be, but that's where it is, all in bits. There's the motor there. So when I went to look at the machine, it was listed as having a noisy head on it. So anyway, until you actually go and have a look, you don't know how bad these things are going to be. So yes, when we run it up there, it was noisy, but what I did, I put a dial gauge on that table on the machine, and I went to the full extremes of the X-axis and the Y, and the deviation was anywhere between half a thou and a thou. You can't quite, I don't think this camera will pick it up. I'll show you when we get a bit further along, but underneath that shite there, you can still see all the you still see all the scrape marks on the casting, on the way, should I say. So you have to think to yourself, well, do I take the chance with it being a noisy head? Because the table and everything on it is so accurate, which, you know, you've got to realise that it's the accuracy of the machine that you're aiming for more. Well, for me anyway, that's the bit I'm interested in. I'm not bothered if the machine looks untidy or if it's covered in shite. I'm not bothered. It's how accurate it is which is the key thing. So I'll just come back a little bit. So bear in mind, the accuracy seemed brilliant. I decided to take the chance on the head. Now, when we started to try and figure out where the noise was coming from, like most things, one thing leads on to another, onto another, onto another. So far I've pulled out 4 bearings, 2 of them shot, no good, 2 of them not too bad. So what I've got left to do now, I've got that little bearing in there to pull out. This is the lower part of the vary head. That's the bull gear, what sits in that bit you've just seen. And in there, I don't know whether I pick it up, underneath that castle nut there, there's 2 more bearings. The spindle bearings seem absolutely fine, and the motor bearings seem fine. So what I'm going to do for this afternoon is get those other bearings out. I'm going to wire the motor up temporarily with the inverter. I'm going to sit it on some wooden blocks on the floor, and I'm going to get my mate to come across, and I'm going to spin it up with the vary pulley on there. If the motor's running quiet, I'm not going to change the bearings in it, because that should tell me that the bearings are okay. So it's just a case now of get those other bearings out, get them ordered. I shall get them from the Bearing Boys off the internet in the UK. I've had lots of belts and things from them in the past, and their prices seem very favourable. The quality's always been good, and the best thing is they get everything here pretty damn quick. These are the 2 belts I've taken off. There's the timing belt, which seems alright. I'm going to note down the numbers and everything off that before I put it back on, but there doesn't appear to be any teeth missing or anything like that. There's the vary pulley belt, which doesn't look very old at all, if I'm honest. So yeah, it's bearings out, degrease, clean everything up, put it all back together. Now I've taken it apart off the machine in stages. Bear in mind, boys, I'm a plumber, so I've had a mate of mine, Danny, who I wouldn't have been able to do it without him. He's a mechanic, and he's a good mechanic as well. So yesterday we got it all apart. I've just taken the bottom half of the vary pulley off this morning. So yeah, it helps when you've got really good friends, and he's a nice lad as well. So I'm going to get the rest of those bearings out, like I say, get it all cleaned up. Now the difference being is, I think that we can build all this vary head back to put it all back together, re-bearing it, grease it, and do whatever we've got to do, and put it back on in one shot, straight on there, instead of taking it apart in the way we did. So once we get that done, I'm going to move it back in the shed, get it on its concrete pad. You're going to love this. You see the beam there, look? Well, there's another one behind there, back there. I've got to cut that out and brace it, because I can't get the machine in. Can't get the machine in. That's where the head's going to be. So it's I'm hoping that we're going to end up with a decent machine after all this. I don't think it's ever going to be a really quiet one, because it's a vary pulley head, or vary speed head. But to be honest with you, I've had it running in here, and anything much above 1,000 revs, you can't stand it in the shed. You'd have to have ear protection on it. It's that noisy. So we'll see where we get to. So we'll pick it up a bit later. Oh, by the way, I don't know what this film's going to come out like, because I'm using my phone. So we'll see. We'll see how we go. So the lathe is there, all covered in all manner of shite from all over the workshop, and you can see, if I pan round, there's stuff literally chucked all over the place. There's my little box with shaper. Everything slung everywhere so we could get it in. So, anyway, see you in a bit. Oh, I'll say bye, Finn. Say bye-bye to the nice ladies and gentlemen. You miserable git.
11, we've got a brand new quiz.
This is pressed back in from the bottom up, locating that keyway, and that, press down over that, and then when the bearings are in, on top of that bearing first goes that
on Friday.
thin washer,
Steve from Holland and Plain.
then the circlet, then that spacer, then that, and then the nut with the dome side facing down. Right, there's the bearings out. So when this goes back together, push the bottom bearing in, then that sleeve's got to go in there, and that one as well, and then press the top bearing back in on the top. So it's bearing, small sleeve, outer sleeve, top bearing. Oops, sorry. Bearing, small sleeve, outer sleeve, top bearing. Is there any difference in it? No. Right. Right. Felt washer, locking nut, locking washer, spacer, bearing, bearing, spacer, bearing. Should be it. So that goes on first. Was it that bit facing down? Yeah. Then a bearing. Well, it's the same bearing as that, isn't it? With a fat side, with a thick side facing down. Then that spacer and that spacer. Oh, so I'm not even fucking filming it. Right, that spacer on first, then a bearing with a thick side down. Two spacers. That one. Then that one. Then that bearing with a fat side. Ah, so that one faces down. On the bottom bearing, the fat side faces up. Yeah, and then we've got the large spacer with the cone bit with the countersink facing upwards. Roller bearing. Doesn't matter which way on that goes. Then we've got the locking washer. Ah, another spacer. And locking washer, tabs facing up, and the locking nut with the chamfer facing down. That's it, innit, brother?
Yep.
Right.
11, we've got a mini quiz.
This is pressed back in from the bottom up, locating that keyway, and that is pressed down over that, and then when the bearings are in, on top of that bearing first goes that thin washer, then the circlet, then that spacer, then that, and then the nut with the dome side facing down. Hello ladies and gents. Right, we have another milling machine. There you see the most important part of my workshop, but I thought while I was doing this I'll just give you a quick look to see what I do have here. Nothing too special. There's my little surface grinder, which has currently got a couple of life jackets on. And we got a SIP bandsaw, bench grinder on my bench. We got a 30-ton hydraulic press there, another grinder on the floor. There we have my little Boxford shaper, which you've never seen running yet, but yeah, you will do one day. Heater, the Bantam lathe, and then there's just all there's some other tool holders in the house. Don't ask me why they're in there. Surface plate, that's a new addition what a friend of mine gave me. And then I've got just my normal toolbox there with bits and bobs. Welder, little Chinese plasma cutter that yeah, works alright. Pillar drill, Boxford. It's a good drill that actually. It just needs, I've just got to put some new spindle bearings in it. And then that's just my toolbox with all my you know, reamers. Oops. There's reamers and lathe tools and milling cutters, and in the bottom there's, you know, there's stuff for the lathe and drills and stuff, chucks. Up there's my clamp kits and all my collets and stuff are in there. I'll have to stand back for this bit because I'll not get it in. There's the beast from the east. It's a Ajax turret mill, and boy have we had some fun with this. It, as you see, I'll go to the top of my workshop, look. I'll lift you up there so you can see. There's not a lot of room. So what we have to do in my workshop, look, we've got beams that run across. And you'll see there isn't one there, but what you will see, if this, I don't know whether this phone will pick it up, but I've got an angle iron brace in the top there, so we have to cut the beam out. I've got to brace these corner pieces yet, just with some steel plate. Oh yeah, actually settling in the corner. So this machine, why did I buy it? Well, it seemed like a good idea at the time. Since I've had it, I had to chop the floor out of the shed. If I'm repeating myself when I put some other clips in that are on my phone, it's because I've forgotten what I've said previously. But anyway, I had to cut a hole in the floor, reconcrete the floor, as you can see down there, look, sit the machine on, because she's a bit of a heavy lump. When we got it back, it was a little noisy. Well, to cut a long story short, since then I've completely re-bearinged the whole head. And when I say the whole head, I mean spindle bearings, the lot. The only bearings I haven't changed in this machine are 2 in the motor. Everything else has been changed. And it now runs like a dream. It is a really good machine. I'm running it from a VFD up there on the wall. Sorry, that's what I should have said. It's a vari-speed machine, so I don't need to put a potentiometer on this one. What I have got though is a little toggle switch there for my forward and reverse. I'm waiting for a proper forward and reverse switch to come. They have sent me one, but they sent me the wrong one. So, I mean, to give you some idea of this machine, if I said it's a Bridgeport on steroids, I wouldn't be lying, because I'm 6'6", and if I stand next to it, my head comes to about there. So she's a big old lump. When we first got it in here and got it running, let me stand back a bit. When we first got it running, you couldn't stand in here. She was making that much noise, and it turned out that when we were stripping it down, you know, you go from the first bearings we took out was on the top here where the drawbar is. We found one bad bearing there, and we was thinking, well, you know, we might be lucky, that might be all it is. But no, spindle bearings were shot, and while we got it all apart, I mean, I had it stripped down to here, where she joins back together there. So we just decided it was best to change all the bearings and make it into a good machine. I mean, the table on it is perfect. You send it backwards and forwards on the X-axis, and you'll get deviation of between half and 1 thou. Full, you know, that's full travel either way, and the same on the Y. So that was a reason what made me buy it, because the bed is so accurate. I took a chance on the head. It cost me 250 quid, I suppose, in bearings. But what I've got now is basically a reconditioned milling machine. She goes really well. Like I say before, you couldn't stand in here when it was running. We'll just flick her on for you. I mean, that's quiet as a mouse. So we got, she starts up in 1.5 seconds and stops in 1.5, with forward and reverse, back to the quill feed like I used to have many years back, well, not many years ago, a few years ago, I used to have a Centec milling machine. It's got power down feed on the quill, which should be very handy. It's got table feed, where you can see the motor there. There is a cover missing off the bottom of it. I need to try and find one of those. Dino Mike, he's a guy that has a channel. He does a bit of all sorts, Mike. the DRO that was on this machine was working, but, and here's a lesson for you. If you go and pick up a machine like this, which is 3-phase 400 volts, blah 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 and all the rest of it, and you've got one of those transwave things, just be careful what you do, because we plugged it straight into a transwave, and if you see down the bottom there, the switches, what it did, the transwave kicked in, and because the switches, which work through some relays at the back, those switches run off 110 volt, and it basically switches some relays which then puts power straight to the motor. Because they didn't switch quickly enough, the transwave then thought it needed to boost it and whack 600 volts into the machine. Well, it fried the transformer that's in this machine, which I'm not too bothered about, and it also damaged the DRO, which is, it's an old DRO, but at least it works. So that's gone to Dyno Mike, who is, well, as I'm doing this now, he's having a look at it, trying to repair it. If he can't, then, and he's already got the display working on it, so we'll see how he gets on. But if he can't repair it, it's not the end of the world. We'll have to get another DRO for it. But it's a big old lump. I just stand back here. I've even had to cut uprights out. You see that piece of wood on the corner there? That's strengthened the side of the shed because the table's that big. At its full extension, it hits the wall. Well, it doesn't now, but there used to be another shelf there that we've had to take out. And the same that side. If you look, well, you can see the piece of wood there coming up. Look, but it's been a trial, to say the least. But I'm glad it's all done now, and maybe now we can start and do a bit more videoing. I think my next little project's going to be, I've got some ER32 collet blocks to make, and the reason I should be doing those, I want to make 3, because I want one myself, and 2 very good friends of mine, Robin and Danny. I couldn't have done this without them. Robin came with me the day, in fact we went in his truck to collect this machine. Getting it home really was the easiest part. Danny helped me get the head apart and strip it all down, and then a couple of weeks ago, or 10 days ago, Robin was here till gone midnight one night in the middle of the week, and we rebuilt the whole head. Like I say, you know, without them I couldn't have done it by myself. So, you know, I feel like I own one, so I'm going to make him an ER32 12-sided collet block. I'll make one each for him. That's just my way of saying thank you, and, you know, we all help each other, but, you know, there's times when you really do rely on your friends, and I'm quite fortunate that I've got some good friends. And not forgetting my mate across the road, Wilf. He's helped me out with it as well, you know, little bits and bobs here and there, because I'm a plumber, not a mechanic. So all 3 of those lads are pretty good. You know, they're all well, 2 of them are mechanics. What am I on about? So, you know, onwards and upwards, as they say. So yeah, I'm pleased with the machine. Like I say, she's a big old lump, but hopefully we'll get some use out of it. And I'm never buying another one. This is my last machine, milling machine anyway. I would like a bigger lathe one day, but we'll see what happens. Oh, while I remember, you see that handle there? Does anybody know what that is for? Now, we've got table locks underneath here, look, under the table. There's one there and one there, and you can see another one hanging down there, which is for the Y. So those 2 there are for the X. Now you'd think that would be for the Z, wouldn't you? But there is table locks at the back there for the Z. So I'm not sure what that is. Maybe someone will know and be able to tell me. But anyway, I'll try and get this uploaded pretty soon so everybody knows I haven't died and I'm still about. And then We'll see if we get on with these collet blocks, and there'll be some milling, some screw cutting, maybe even a bit of surface grinding on that one, and then we'll go from there. Hey, do you want to say bye? Huh? Right, see you soon, boys and girls. Cheers. This is what you do when you have a hobby.
1.9
This morning, I'm on my way out. Get your arse out. Trailer on these back roads for a while. It's going to be a bit of a trek. So if it's any good, I shall buy it, and then I haven't got my video camera on it. Press back in from the bottom up, bearings are in, on top of that bearing first goes that and that spacer, then that, and then the nut.